Hi! Welcome back to another video. Today's one is one that I'm like super excited about, like more than any other so far, because I had this bright idea last month when I was filming my March TBR. I had so much fun doing the little spindly wheel and like just picking books off my shelves that I wouldn't have normally reached for straight away. I didn't get around to all of them, but that's for another video. But I did have the idea shortly after filming that I was like, I would love to do something like that again in future where somebody else picks the books for me. I was contemplating reaching out to friends and families, but then I was like, how fun would it be to have some of my favourite authors possibly recommend me a book? So that's what I'm here to do today. I'm here to show you some books that have been picked for me by some of my favourite authors, and when some of them replied I literally squealed inside being like, thank you so much. And I thought this would be a really fun way to pick like hopefuls. I'm not necessarily gonna make them like Justin April's hopefuls. I'm gonna like just put them on my list to like absolutely get to before the year is out, because March really reminded me why I do not do good with like set TBRs. I'm way too much of a mood reader, so I'm mood reading at the moment. I'm adding these to my I want to read these in the near future. Some of them I've heard of and I was very excited, and other ones are brand new to me, so I got to look into them and buy myself some new books. So without further ado, let me show you what these authors picked for me. I basically sent them this long message which says, hey, I hope you're doing well. I have a bit of a random request for you. I'm hoping to record a video soon in which I buy and read books recommended by some of my favourite authors as part of my TBR, so I wanted to reach out to you. If you're happy to take part, I would love if you could please recommend me any one book you think I should read. And then in brackets I put, this can be one of your own or any other authors that you enjoy. And then because I sent this so early in March, I said, I know I'm sending this out very early, but I wanted to give myself enough time to source the books, etc. You're more than welcome to record your answer in a short video if you would like to be included in this video. But I said feel free to just reply via message if that's more comfortable. And then I just said if you do not want to take part at all, that's also completely fine. So that's what I sent off. I sent it to a bunch of my favourite authors, and I was so lucky that like 7 of them replied pretty instantly, and they gave me some cracking book recommendations. So first off, as a thriller reader myself, a lot of these authors are kind of thriller authors, not all of them, but a lot of them. And when I thought thriller author, who's my favourite thriller author? Like one of the top people that popped into my head? Lisa Jewell. Lisa Jewell. So I popped Lisa Jewell a message and she replied, because she is an icon and we love that. I've got all the messages and stuff here so I can read them out, and I'll pop them in on the screen so you can also have a look at the recommendations they give. She wrote back and said, oh, please either read Lie With Me by Sabine Durant, I hope I'm saying that right, or The Stopped Heart by Julie Meyerson, or After You're Gone by Maggie O'Farrell. So I did have a look at my shelves and I did actually have one of these books. I did immediately add the other two to my wish list though, but the one that I did have was Lie With Me by Sabine Durant, and I find it so funny that she picked this because I picked this up in a charity shop on an absolute whim. I had never heard of this author, I had never heard of this book, I just really liked the cover and it sounded right up my street, so I picked it up. And I mean, it's quite a short one as well, so I feel like this one will definitely be getting read very, very soon. What's really unique about this one as well actually is the blurb is not on the back. It just says, a few little lies never hurt anyone, right? But the blurb is actually like on the first page of the book, so let me read that out to you. A few little lies never hurt anyone, right? Wrong. Paul has a plan. He has a vision of a better future and he's going to make it happen. If it means hiding or exaggerating a few things here and there, no harm done. But when he charms his way onto a family holiday and then finds himself trapped amongst tensions and emotions that he doesn't understand, by the time he starts to realise that however painful the truth is, it's the lies that cause the real damage, well, by then, it might just be too late. So yeah, it sounds like the perfect cozy thriller book, and the fact that it's, how many pages is it? 293 pages, so not even 300 pages. So this is absolutely a book you could sit and binge read in like one sitting. So we are very excited for this, and I mean, if the Queen of Thriller, Lisa Jewell, enjoyed it, I know I'm gonna love it. Then the next person who really kindly got back to me was Emily Frood, who was actually in one of my last videos. If you watched that, I think it was in my top 10 thriller recommendations. She wrote the book What She Left Behind, which was one of my like top 5-star reads from last summer. It is literally an incredible thriller, so I was like, if there's one person who can give me a recommendation for a book that's like right up my street, Emily is gonna be my woman. So I popped her a message and she really kindly got back to me, and here's what she had to say.
Hi Shauna, Emily Freud here, author of My Best Friend's Secret and What She Left Behind. Thank you so much for asking me to recommend you a book to read in April. I had a really long, hard think about which book to choose, and I know that we both love a bit of horror in our thrillers, and we're both massive Stephen King fans, and he said this book was not to be missed. So I decided to recommend you should read Sundial by Catriona Ward. The reason I love this book so much is her writing is just incredible. She manages to evoke exactly the right image and visual when you're reading, and often that image is quite grotesque and grisly, but you'll really get an amazing sense of place. It's about a mother that takes her daughter back to her childhood home called Sundial in the desert, because she's become very worried about her. She started collecting bones and acting very strangely. Anyway, I love this book and I think you will too, and I can't wait to hear what you think.
So yes, I will be picking up Sundial by Catriona Ward, which is perfect because this one was actually on my March TBR and I haven't got around to it, so I will absolutely be reading this one like ASAP, like next read. I'm just still so shocked and appalled at myself that I haven't read a Catriona Ward, and I'm even more enticed now knowing Emily's writing style and what she likes in a book. It's exactly up my street, so I will absolutely be reading this ASAP, and I promise at the end of April there will be a review for Sundial. I'm excited. Keeping on the theme of thriller writers, I reached out to one of my favourite Irish thriller writers, and that is Catherine Ryan Howard. If you don't know, she has wrote the books The Nothing Man, Runtime, 56 Days. Those are just 3 I can think of off the top of my head. I've read all of those and they've all been so good. The Nothing Man is another one of those books that's one of my top reads from last year. So I reached out to her and she also really kindly got back to me, which was just blows my mind. And she just simply wrote back, I would say Notes on an Execution or Dirt Town by Hayley Scrivener, I want to say. Yeah, I really kindly thanked her for that. I actually have Notes on an Execution on my Kindle. It was one of the 99p Kindle deals I got really recently, so that worked out perfectly in my favour. I'm just popping onto my Kindle now to add it to my little hopefuls folder to remind myself to read this soon. I also think from like browsing bookstores, that book is also not particularly huge. I'm pretty sure that's like a 300-page novel as well. Am I right in saying that? So I feel like that could be another binge-worthy rainy evening type read. Does anybody else do the little organisation thing on their Kindle where they put everything into folders, or is that just me? Here she is, and I am adding it to my hopefuls. So a huge thank you to Catherine for that recommendation. I'm gonna click to view in store and I will read what this one is about, because I know I bought it because I like to send a blurb, but I read so many blurbs I can't remember, so let's find out what this one's about. Okay, it says Ansel, I think it's Ansel Packer is scheduled to die in 12 hours, but this is not his story. Ansel doesn't want to die, he wants to be celebrated, understood. Yet now he awaits the same fate he forced on those girls years ago. This is the story of the women who survive. As the clock ticks down, 3 women, a mother, a sister, a detective, reckon with the choices that culminate in tragedy, the impact on those in its wake, and the possibility of redemption. That sounds very good. That sounds really, and all the things are like thrilling, convulsive, devastating, unforgettable. So it sounds like that's going to be a thrilling book, but also one that like definitely makes you think, and that could definitely evoke emotions, I feel like. So something a little bit different. So I will be looking forward to picking this one up soon. So Next up is another author who I really admire. I actually had the pleasure of meeting her last summer, and she is even more spectacular in person than she is online or through her books. She really kindly actually sent me some of her books. I won a little competition and she sent me out books. My name signed it, and she wrote me like little notes, and then when I met her at the book party last summer, she remembered me, and she even remembered my cat's name that she wrote in the book, which was so cute. But this author is Tina Baker. If you have not heard of her, get to know. She has wrote the thrillers Nasty Little Cuts, Call Me Mommy, and then her brand new book Make Me Clean is out now, which is very exciting. So if you're looking for another good thriller alongside whatever Tina decides to recommend, definitely add her books to your wish list because it's worth it.
My book recommendation, anything by Kat Ward. So this is her new one, Looking Glass Sound. You might want to start with The Last House on Needless Street or Sundial or Little Eve. And much as I want you to read my books as well, I absolutely adore this. It's literary, it's gothic, it's horror, it's a thriller, it's just got everything. This one is like meta. I can't give any plots away without like ruining it, but I absolutely love it. Kat Ward at Viper Books.
Okay, wow. Okay, Katrina Ward is really, like, I feel like if this was not a sign to read her books, then I don't know what is. So yes, Tina has also recommended me Katrina Ward. She had her new book, Looking Glass Sound, which I actually don't have yet being the important word there, but she did also mention The Last House on Needless Street, which I do have. It is also on my Kindle. I've had this for like definitely a year or more, I want to say, on my Kindle, and I have heard wild things about this book. I heard it's unhinged, it's crazy, like you will not know what's going to happen, it's a roller coaster. So I do feel like that's a bit of me. That's a bit of me, which is the theme throughout this entire video, which means I chose well. I'm very happy with these choices. So I will be bumping that also into my little hopefuls folder to remind me to read it. And yeah, let me look up the blurb, I'll read it out to you and we can get an idea of what we're in for. Here she is, I found her. It says, this is the story of a murderer, a stolen child revenge. This is the story of Ted, who lives with his young daughter Lauren and his cat Olivia in an ordinary house at the end of an ordinary street. All these things are true, and yet some of them are lies. An unspeakable secret binds the family together, and when a new neighbour moves in next door, the truth may destroy them all. Because there's something buried in the dark forest at the end of Needle Street, but it's not what you think. Okay, that sounds so good. I haven't read anything this exciting since Gone Girl, one of the most extraordinary thrillers of the year, a dark, audacious, high-wire Activa novel. Katrina Ward. I'm shook. I'm shook it's took me this long. So, yes, my signs to read Katrina Ward are here and I will do it. I'm excited. The next author I reached out to is another one I'm very excited for, because when I think of her writing, I think of like the darkest, most grittiest corner of thrillers, like bordering on like gruesome thrillers, which is crazy because she is the sweetest woman ever. Like when you see her, you would not think that she has those dark thoughts in her brain to write these amazing novels. And I'm talking about Sam Holland. She is the author of The Echo Man, which is a serial killer style thriller, and it is dark. I also had the pleasure of meeting Sam at the book party last summer, and we got chatting about all things thrillers and dark books, and she was talking to me about The Echo Man, and it was just absolutely fascinating to listen to. So I knew that she would be a good place to go as well. So Sam really kindly wrote back to me and she said, "Hey Shauna, I'm actually having a bit of an Australian phase at the moment, so can I recommend either Bitter Wash Road by Gary Disher or The Lost Man by Jane Harper?" I loved both of those. So I said thank you so much. I actually hadn't heard of either of these books, so I went and looked them up. So after getting Sam's message, I had a look on the internet for those two books, and I managed to pick up The Lost Man by Jane Harper just simply because it was cheaper to purchase on Kindle at the time. So I was like, I might as well download this and get looking. When I like clicked on it, it said like that it was one of the top crime thrillers, and I was like, that's a statement, that's a statement. So I have it here on Amazon. This is the cover, if anyone wants to have a look, because it looks quite dull on the Kindle being in black and white. So there's a little colour version. The blurb says, why did Cameron Bright die? He had started to remove his clothes as logic had deserted him and his skin was cracked. Whatever had been going through Cameron's mind when he was alive, he didn't look peaceful in death. Two brothers meet at the remote border of the vast cattle properties under the unrelenting sun of the outback. In an isolated part of Australia, they are each other's nearest neighbour, their homes hours apart. They are at the Stockman's grave, a landmark so old that no one can remember who was buried there. But today, the scant shadow it cast was the last hope for their middle brother Cameron. The Brights family's quiet existence is thrown into grief and anguish. Something had been troubling Cameron. Did he choose to walk to his death? Because if he didn't, the isolation of the outback leaves a few suspects. So this sounds like it's going to be a very atmospheric one, because I feel like you're going to be in Cameron's head wondering what happened to him, whether he was killed, whether he did commit suicide. It sounds like a nice like crime novel, because it obviously sounds like his brothers are going to kind of do their own investigating into whether Cameron's death was suspicious or not, I guess. So yeah, I have actually been really loving like crime novels lately. I feel like I used to kind of avoid crime because I'd be like, no, I love like dark thrillers, I want thrillers. And then I started reading crime thrillers and I was like, oh, I actually really like this. So yeah, and it's based in Australia, which seems to be what Sam is vibing with at the minute. So we might as well. We're coming into the brighter months now. So some sunny Australia vibes. I feel like could be really nice. I was going to say actually really nice, but now that I'm thinking of it, I'm like, that could actually make it like claustrophobic in a way with the heat and stuff, and he's stuck in the desert, so interesting. Thank you, Sam. Next up, shock. This is not a thriller author. I didn't just reach out to thriller authors. Majority of them were, because I do read mostly thriller, but it just so happened that the ones that got back to me were. But with this author, she is definitely more renowned for her romance novels, and that is Paige Toon. I have actually only read 2 of Paige Toon's novels, but I have loved both of them. So I had the idea to reach out to her because I know that she is super chatty and engaging on Instagram, and she wrote back to me, which was so kind. She wrote back saying, "Hi Shauna, thank you so much for thinking of me. My new book, Only Love Can Hurt Like This." Only love can hurt. Sorry. Is out on the 27th of April if the timing works. So I was like, amazing. I actually have this one in pre-order, which I do, so I can move it to my final read later this month. So what actually drove me to pre-order it is that Paige uploaded a reel to her Instagram of her finishing the book, and she was like sobbing, like crying so hard, and I was like, if it was that hard for you to finish the book, like, and you poured that much like love and soul into your book, I need to read that. So I do have that on pre-order. It obviously won't be here until the end of April, so I will have to wait until then to add it to my TBR. But for now, we'll get the blurb. I've just noticed now as well that the Kindle edition of this is only €4 to pre-order, so if you're looking at this in pounds, it's probably even cheaper. Okay, it's a slightly longer blurb again, but we'll go with it. It says, when Ren realises her fiancé is in love with somebody else, she thinks her heart will never recover. On the other side of the world, Anders lost his wife 4 years ago, and is struggling to move on. Ren hopes that spending the summer with her dad and stepfamily on their farm in Indiana will help her to heal. There, amid the cornfields and the fireflies, she and Anders cross paths and their worlds are turned upside down again. But Ren doesn't know that Anders is harbouring a secret, and if he acts on any feelings he has for Ren, it will have serious fallout for everyone. Walking away would hurt Ren more than she can imagine, but knowing the truth, how can she possibly stay? Okay, I wasn't actually expecting that. The last novel I read from Paige Toon was Somebody I Used to Know. It broke my heart. It was so sad, but like so lovely. You know, one of those stories that it's really sad, but like in the most lovely, heartwarming way. But this actually sounds like there could be a bit of mystery in there, like a bit of a thrill. So that sounds really good. So that makes me even more excited to get my hands on it. So yeah, I would be like highly anticipating its arrival at the end of April. Next up is another amazing Irish thriller author who I am just So stoked to have on this video. I'm actually currently reading one of her novels as we speak, and I had just finished one last month that was a 5-star. The camera's going to start shaking because the cat's gonna come here. Let me just get the cat. Here she is. Look how cute her little recovery suit is because she has stitches right now. But yes, the author in question is Andrea Mara. She is incredible. She has wrote books such as Hide and Seek. Her new one is called No One Saw a Thing. And she's just amazing. And so she sent me a recommendation. So here it is.
Hi Shona, the book I'm recommending today is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. And I listened on audio, so I don't have a physical copy to show you, but it's an absolutely beautiful book told through the voice of an 11-year-old boy who gets older. It's a coming of age story. His name is Damon Fields, so it's sort of a loosely reimagined tale of David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, but he's nicknamed Demon Copperhead.
I love kitty snuggles. Here is the cover of the one that Andrea decided to recommend for me. I had not heard, please excuse the cat noises, but I had not heard of this book either, but it was the winner of the Women's Prize for Fiction, so that's exciting. So I'm going to read the blurb out. It says, Demon's story begins with his traumatic birth to a single mother in a single white trailer looking like a little blue prize fighter. For the life ahead of him, he would need all of that fighting spirit along with buckets of charm, a quick wit and some unexpected talents, legal and otherwise. In the southern Appalachian Mountains of Virginia, poverty isn't an idea. It's as neutral as the grass grows. For a generation growing up in this world, at the heart of the modern opioid crisis, addiction isn't an abstraction. It's neighbours, parents, friends. Family could mean love or reluctant foster care. For Demon, born on the wrong side of luck, the affection and safety he craves is as remote as the ocean he dreams of seeing one day. The wonder is in how far he's willing to travel to try to get there. And then it says stuff like it's an amazing, beautifully written story, powerful and brilliant, immersive, heart-opening. But yeah, I'm not sure how I've not heard of this one, so I'm excited to get to know it. It is currently €8 for the paperback. I don't currently own it, so I am going to look into getting that. It's currently £6 on Kindle either. So I'm interested to know how big this is. You know when you sometimes like hear of a book or read the blurb and you're like, ooh, I don't know why, but this like makes me feel like it's a chunky book. So I'll be interested to see. But thank you so much, Andrea, for your recommendations. I will absolutely be purchasing this book soon, and I will let you know what I think of it when I read it. And then last, but certainly not least, is an author that I have loved since I picked up their books. I picked up her book in 2021, I want to say. I really liked it, and then I got really kindly sent her brand new book last year, which I was so excited when I got that in the post. I got a little package of it, so I knew I wanted to include her in this, and that is Sarah Pearse. She is the author of The Sanatorium and The Retreat, and she writes really cozy crime isolating thrillers. Like, so the first one is set on like a remote island in the snow in an old sanitarium that's been converted into a hotel, so creepy. And then the second one is set in the summer in a resort that was made on an island where there was a really bad history and killings and stuff, and yeah, just bad stuff starts to happen. So for me personally, I love her books, I love her writing, so I trusted her and I messaged her, and she messaged me back and she said, hey, I just wanted to check regarding genre, do you need a reco in a particular genre or are you open? So I said I'm pretty much open to trying anything at all, but of course always love a thriller either. So she wrote back and she said, hi Shauna, please see below. She said, please see my review below, and she was like, recommendation, sorry, not review. And she said, Damage by Caitlin Wahrer. Wahrer? W-A-H-R-E-R. She said it's a powerful, thought-provoking read about male-to-male sexual assault, examining the effects such a crime not only has on the victim, but the people that they are closest to. Beautifully drawn characters and a propulsive plot that kept me turning the pages long into the night. A book that will make you think, make you cry, and to savour. So that's something really different, I think, amongst all like the thrillers I got recommended. We've now got kind of like a mystery romance novel, and now this, which sounds almost like non-fiction. I was like, is this fiction or non-fiction? I actually haven't bought this one yet because Sarah actually just sent me her recommendation this morning, so thank you so much, Sarah. So I'm actually going to go and have a look now and see how much this novel is. It's only currently €3 to buy on Kindle, or it is €9 for the paperbacks, so that's very affordable. And Kindle are actually doing a deal at the moment, I think, where if you spend £10 on Kindle books, they will give you £5 credit. So would be rude not to. I know I just read like the brief description that Sarah gave us, but I was like, I'll just read the blurb that they've given us on Amazon as well. It says, there are good men and there are bad men, but which one is her husband? All Julia wants is to hold her family together. Her brother-in-law Nick just wants to forget his brutal assault, but Julia's husband Tony can't let go of his anger about the attack. So when Tony decides to take matters into his own hands, Julia fears for the attacker's family. Even more than that, she fears where saving her husband will take her. Okay, so I was actually getting like completely different vibes. This sounds quite dark as well. But yeah, it says it's a suspenseful family drama, so that's the genre. Because from reading Sarah's description, it sounded like something that could be very much a non-fiction story. So good to know it is fictional, a suspenseful family drama. So yeah, like I feel like that is a good mix of things. We've got like our 90% thrillers, which is the way I like things to go, but I also have a romance mystery and I also have a drama style family book. So yeah, so that concludes book recommendations that were picked for me by some of my favourite authors, and I honestly had so much fun doing this video. I don't know what happened, but the whole ending of my video got completely cut off. There's no recording of it and I don't have time to sit down with all the equipment again, so I'm giving you a very poor quality phone recording. But I just wanted to say thank you so much if you got to the end of this video. Please let me know if you have read any of the books that the authors recommended to me, or if you yourself are a fan of any of the authors that featured in this video. It was literally so much fun to make. And yeah, let me know in the comments what videos you want me to see next. I definitely have a haul like I do soon, as well as like my March wrap up, and let you know what I got through, because spoiler, I didn't read as many of the books as I wanted that were on my hopefuls. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.